Success leaves clues, and so does destruction. Let me share something profound with you today. Every single morning across our world, millions of people participate in a ritual. This ritual is destroying lives, breaking families, and creating the greatest epidemic of our time. Yet we celebrate it, we glorify it, we wear it like a badge of honor. Have you ever watched a moth drawn to a flame? The moth sees the brilliant light, believes it's found something beautiful, something worth pursuing. It circles closer and closer, hypnotized by the glow, until destruction. The flame that attracted it becomes the very thing that destroys it. This is the perfect metaphor for what I call the great deception of our time, the hustle culture. We are all moths, and hustle culture is our flame. We're attracted to its promise, its glory, its endless highlight reels of overnight successes and billion-dollar empires built from garage startups. But let me tell you something that might shock you. In my decades of studying human potential and success, I've discovered a startling truth. The most successful people in the world aren't the ones hustling 24/7. They're not the ones posting motivational quotes at 3 a.m. They're not the ones bragging about their 4 hours of sleep. Here's a profound truth. An army of exhausted entrepreneurs led by burnout will always be defeated by a team of rested innovators led by clarity. Let me say that again. An army of exhausted entrepreneurs led by burnout will always be defeated by a team of rested innovators led by clarity. You see, we're living in an age where exhaustion is marketed as excellence, where burning out is branded as dedication, where killing ourselves slowly is somehow seen as the path to success. We've created a culture where being busy is more important than being effective, where movement is mistaken for progress, where activity is confused with achievement. Think about this. We are the first generation in human history that is deliberately depriving ourselves of rest in the name of success. We are the first society that views sleep as a weakness, recovery as laziness, and balance as lack of ambition. Today, I'm going to share with you why this mindset is not just wrong, it's dangerous. I'm going to reveal the hidden trap that's been set for us, a trap that's been beautifully disguised as ambition and success. And most importantly, I'm going to show you a better way forward. Because here's the truth. The greatest threat to your success isn't your competition. It's not the market. It's not the economy. The greatest threat to your success is the toxic belief system that tells you the only path to achievement is through perpetual motion. You're about to discover why the very culture that promises to elevate you might be the one holding you down. And more importantly, you're about to learn how to break free from this trap and achieve true sustainable success. This isn't just another talk about work-life balance. This is about understanding the fundamental laws of human potential and success. This is about breaking free from the greatest deception of our time. This is about reclaiming your power to succeed on your own terms. Are you ready to discover the truth about hustle culture? Are you prepared to challenge everything you've been told about success? Because what I'm about to share with you might just change everything you thought you knew about achievement. Let's beg in. Let me share something fascinating about human nature. Throughout history, every generation has faced its own form of seduction, a compelling illusion that captures the imagination of an entire era. For our ancestors, it might have been the promise of gold in distant lands. For others, it was the allure of quick fortunes in stock markets. But our generation, we face something far more subtle and far more dangerous. We face the seduction of what I call perpetual motion masquerading as progress. Look around you. Open any social media platform. What do you see? You see entrepreneurs bragging about their 4 a.m. routines. You see influencers telling you that if you're sleeping more than 5 hours, you're not committed enough. You see rise and grind mantras plastered across pictures of expensive cars and luxury watches. This is the modern-day equivalent of the siren song, beautiful, compelling, and ultimately destructive. Let me share a profound truth with you. The hustle culture isn't just a lifestyle choice. It's a carefully crafted narrative that feeds on your deepest insecurities and your highest aspirations. It's a machine that turns your natural drive for success into an unnatural addiction to motion. Think about this. When was the last time you felt truly at peace with taking a break? When was the last time you didn't feel guilty for taking a weekend off? When was the last time you didn't feel the need to check your email at 11 p.m.? The seduction of hustle culture operates on three fundamental deceptions. I call them the triple illusions of modern success. The first illusion is the myth of constant productivity. This is the belief that every moment must be monetized, every minute must be maximized, every second must be squeezed for its productive potential. But here's what they don't tell you. The human mind, like a field that produces crops, needs seasons of rest to remain fertile. When you force it to produce constantly, you don't get more harvest. You get burnout. The second illusion is what I call social media success theater. This is the carefully curated highlight reel that shows the glory but hides the story. You see the entrepreneur with their private jet, but you don't see the countless failed attempts, the missed family dinners, the chronic health issues, the broken relationships. The third and most dangerous illusion is the confusion between movement and progress. Just because you're busy doesn't mean you're productive. Just because you're working doesn't mean you're winning. Just because you're exhausted doesn't mean you're excellent. Let me share a story that illustrates this perfectly. In the world of weightlifting, there's a crucial difference between movement and progress. A novice lifter might do 100 repetitions with poor form, believing that more is better. But a master lifter knows that 5 perfect repetitions with proper form and recovery time will produce better results than 100 rushed, improper ones. The same principle applies to your success journey. The hustle culture wants you to believe that more is always better. More hours, more projects, more commitments, more sacrifices. But this is like trying to drive a car at full speed without ever stopping for fuel or maintenance. Eventually, you don't just stop, you crash. The seduction of hustle culture is particularly dangerous because it disguises destruction as dedication. It turns toxic behaviors into trending hashtags. It transforms self-harm into self-help. But here's what makes this seduction truly insidious. It hijacks your natural drive for excellence. It takes your noble desire for achievement and twists it into an endless chase for more. It transforms your healthy ambition into harmful addiction. You see, the real danger isn't in working hard. The real danger is in believing that working hard is the only variable in the success equation. It's in accepting the false narrative that rest is weakness, that balance is for the uncommitted, that burning out is somehow a badge of honor. The hustle culture has created a generation of people who are simultaneously more productive and less fulfilled, more connected and more lonely, more successful by external metrics and more empty by internal measures. But here's the good news. Once you understand the seduction, you can break free from its spell. Once you see the illusion for what it is, you can begin to craft a new narrative, one that honors both your ambition and your humanity. And that's exactly what we're going to explore next. The hidden costs of this seduction, costs that go far beyond mere physical exhaustion. Because understanding these costs is the first step toward creating a better path forward. Let me share something that might disturb you. In nature, there's a fascinating phenomenon called biomagnification. It's what happens when toxic substances accumulate in living organisms, becoming more concentrated as they move up the food chain. What starts as a small poison in plankton becomes deadly in predatory fish. This is exactly what's happening with the hidden costs of hustle culture. What begins as small compromises in our daily lives magnifies into devastating consequences over time. I've spent years studying successful people, and I've noticed something remarkable. The ones who achieve lasting success aren't the ones who sacrifice everything for their goals. They're the ones who understand the art of sustainable achievement. Let me tell you about what I call the 4 dimensions of destruction, the hidden costs that nobody talks about when they're selling you the dream of endless hustle. The first dimension is biological debt. Your body is not a machine. It's a living system that operates on natural rhythms and cycles. When you consistently override these rhythms with artificial stimulants, late nights, and minimal rest, you're not just borrowing energy from tomorrow. You're taking out a high-interest loan against your future health. Think about this. Have you ever noticed how billionaires are now obsessed with longevity? They're spending millions trying to extend their lives. Why? Because they've realized that all the wealth in the world means nothing if your body is too broken to enjoy it. The second dimension is psychological erosion. This is perhaps the most insidious cost because it happens so gradually that you don't notice it until it's severe. It's like water dripping on a rock. Each drop seems harmless, but over time, it creates a canyon. When you're constantly in motion, your mind never has time to process, to integrate, to make meaning of your experiences. You become like a computer that's running too many programs at once. Eventually, it crashes. This manifests as anxiety, depression, and a deep sense of disconnection from yourself. The third dimension is relational deterioration. Success without someone to share it with is just organized failure. Yet, in the pursuit of hustle culture's promises, we often sacrifice our most precious relationships. Here's a profound truth. Nobody on their deathbed ever said, "I wish I had spent more time checking emails." Yet how many of us miss our children's bedtime stories, our partner's important moments, or simple dinners with friends because we're too busy building an empire? The fourth dimension, and perhaps the most tragic, is what I call purpose amnesia. In the constant rush of activity, we forget why we started hustling in the first place. We become so focused on the climb that we forget to ask if we're even on the right mountain. I've met countless successful entrepreneurs who reached their financial goals only to realize they'd lost touch with their original purpose. They built the business, made the money, gained the status, but somewhere along the way they lost their joy, their creativity, their sense of meaning. Let me share something powerful. In psychology, there's a concept called hedonic adaptation. It means that humans quickly adjust to positive changes in their lives and return to their baseline level of happiness. This explains why the promises of hustle culture are fundamentally flawed. You see, no amount of external success can compensate for internal bankruptcy. You can't hustle your way to fulfillment. You can't grind your way to joy. These are qualities that emerge from presence, from balance, from conscious living, all the things that hustle culture tells you to sacrifice. The real cost of hustle culture isn't just in what it takes from you, it's in what it prevents you from discovering about yourself. When you're always running, you never learn to dance. When you're always talking, you never learn to listen. When you're always doing, you never learn to be. And here's the most devastating part. These costs compound over time. Just as money grows through compound interest, the negative effects of hustle culture multiply through what I call compound depletion. Each sacrifice, each compromise, each missed moment of rest or connection becomes the foundation for greater losses in the future. But there's hope. Just as these costs compound negatively, the right approach to success can compound positively. And that's what we're going to explore next, the leadership paradox that shows us a better way forward. Because once you understand these hidden costs, you can begin to make different choices. Choices that honor both your ambitions and your humanity. Choices that lead not just to success, but to sustainable, meaningful success. Let me share a profound observation I've made while working with leaders across the globe. The most powerful people in any room are rarely the ones making the most noise. True power, like gravity, operates in silence, yet influences everything around it. This brings us to what I call the leadership paradox. It's a fascinating phenomenon that challenges everything hustle culture wants you to believe about success and influence. Think about water for a moment. When water is shallow, it's noisy, turbulent, constantly in motion. But deep water is quiet, deep water is powerful, deep water can carry massive ships across oceans. This is the perfect metaphor for true leadership and success. In my studies of human potential and leadership, I've discovered something remarkable. The most influential leaders aren't the ones with the busiest schedules. They're the ones with the clearest minds. They're not the ones doing 1,000 things simultaneously. They're the ones doing the right things sequentially. Let me share a profound truth that might shock you. Your capacity to lead others is directly proportional to your ability to lead yourself. And leading yourself begins with the courage to be still. Consider this. Every major breakthrough in human history came not from constant motion, but from moments of deep reflection. Einstein didn't discover relativity while rushing between meetings. He visualized it while taking long walks. Newton didn't comprehend gravity while multitasking. He understood it during a period of forced isolation when the plague closed his university. This is what I call the power of strategic stillness. It's the understanding that productivity isn't about constant motion, it's about purposeful action. Here's the paradox. To achieve more, you must do less. To move faster, you must slow down. To lead better, you must first master the art of following your own inner wisdom. The hustle culture tells you that leadership is about being everywhere, doing everything, controlling every situation. But true leadership is about being fully present wherever you are. It's about doing one thing with complete attention rather than 10 things with divided focus. Let me give you a powerful example. When you're in a crowded room and someone speaks in a whisper, what happens? Everyone leans in to listen. They become more engaged, more focused. The whisper commands more attention than the shout. This is the paradox of power. The quieter you become, the more people listen. This principle applies to every area of your life and leadership. When you learn to operate from a place of centered calm rather than frantic activity, you discover something remarkable. Your influence grows while your effort diminishes. The real power of leadership doesn't come from how many hours you work, how many emails you send, or how many meetings you attend. It comes from the quality of your presence, the clarity of your thinking, and the depth of your understanding. This is the antidote to hustle culture's poison. This is the path to sustainable success. This is the way to lead not just others, but yourself toward true achievement. Let me share something fascinating about your brain. Inside your skull, there's an extraordinary system that operates on principles completely opposite to what hustle culture preaches. Understanding this system is the key to unlocking your true potential. Think about this. Nature never hustles. A seed doesn't struggle to become a tree. It alternates between periods of growth and periods of consolidation. This is the fundamental rhythm of all living things, including you. Let me introduce you to what I call the AAA cycle of achievement. Activate, adapt, and assimilate. This is how your brain naturally processes information and develops mastery. But here's the crucial part that hustle culture ignores. The magic happens during the rest periods, not during the work periods. When you learn a new skill, your brain doesn't strengthen during practice, it strengthens during rest. This is why athletes don't build muscle while lifting weights, they build muscle while recovering from lifting weights. The same principle applies to every aspect of your performance. Consider this remarkable discovery from neuroscience. Your brain has a specialized system called the default mode network that only activates when you're not focused on external tasks. This is when your brain connects dots, generates insights, and processes complex information. By staying constantly busy, you're literally preventing your brain from doing some of its most important work. Here's a profound truth. Productivity isn't about time management. It's about energy management. Your brain operates in ultradian rhythms, 90-minute cycles of high energy focus, followed by necessary recovery periods. Fighting against these natural rhythms is like trying to swim upstream. You'll exhaust yourself while making minimal progress. Let me share what I call the paradox of peak performance. The highest achievers in any field aren't the ones who work the longest hours. They're the ones who work in alignment with their biological rhythms. They understand that intensity plus rest equals growth. Constant intensity only equals burnout. Think about a lion in the wild. A lion doesn't hunt 24/7. It operates in bursts of intense activity followed by periods of rest. This isn't laziness, it's strategic energy management. The lion knows something that hustle culture has forgotten. Conservation of energy is just as important as expenditure of energy. Your brain consumes 20% of your body's energy while representing only 2% of your body weight. It's an energy-intensive organ that requires proper care and feeding. When you ignore its need for recovery, you're not just reducing your current performance, you're compromising your future potential. This is why the most innovative companies in the world are now incorporating rest periods into their work schedules. They've discovered what nature has known all along. Sustainable success requires rhythmic alternation between engagement and recovery. Understanding these biological principles isn't just interesting science, it's the foundation for creating sustainable success. When you align your work patterns with your natural rhythms, you don't just perform better, you thrive. Let me share a powerful truth about transformation. When a snake sheds its old skin, there's a moment of vulnerability. It must break free from what once protected it to grow into something new. This is exactly where you are right now with hustle culture. Breaking free isn't just about changing your schedule. It's about transforming your relationship with success itself. Let me introduce you to what I call the Liberation Protocol, a systematic approach to reclaiming your power from the grip of toxic productivity. First, understand this fundamental truth. Your worth isn't measured by your productivity. You are not a human doing. You are a human being. This simple shift in perspective changes everything. When you stop seeing yourself as a production unit and start honoring yourself as a living system, new possibilities emerge. Let me share something profound about boundaries. In nature, every living organism has a membrane, a boundary that determines what gets in and what stays out. Your time, your energy, your attention, these are your vital resources. You must protect them with the same vigilance that your body protects its cells. Here's what I call the boundary principle. Everything you say yes to is simultaneously a no to something else. When you say yes to that late night meeting, you're saying no to rest. When you say yes to weekend work, you're saying no to recovery. When you say yes to constant connectivity, you're saying no to deep thinking. Consider this, a garden doesn't grow stronger by eliminating its borders. It thrives precisely because it has clear boundaries that protect it from invasion and overcrowding. Your life and work need the same protection. The process of breaking free begins with what I call strategic subtraction. Most people try to solve problems by adding more tools, more techniques, more productivity hacks. But true freedom often comes from removing unnecessary commitments, removing excessive obligations, removing toxic beliefs about success. Think about a sculptor creating a masterpiece. The art emerges not by adding more marble, but by carefully removing what doesn't belong. Your ideal life and work rhythm will emerge in the same way, by carving away the non-essential. Here's a revolutionary concept. You don't need more time management. You need better boundary management. Time will manage itself if you manage your boundaries. This means learning to say no, not just to others, but to your own conditioned impulses to stay busy. The path to breaking free involves 3 critical shifts: from quantity to quality of work, from constant motion to strategic action, from external validation to internal alignment. Remember this, breaking free doesn't happen in one dramatic moment. It happens through consistent, conscious choices. Each time you honor your needs for rest, each time you set a healthy boundary, each time you choose quality over quantity, you're breaking another link in the chain of hustle culture. This is your invitation to freedom. Not freedom from work, but freedom to work in harmony with your nature. Not freedom from ambition, but freedom to pursue ambition sustainably. Let me share with you a profound truth about transformation. Success leaves clues, but so does fulfillment. What I'm about to share with you isn't just another path. It's a complete reimagining of what success can look like. Imagine success as a garden rather than a race. In a race, there's only one direction, forward. But in a garden, growth happens in cycles, in seasons, in its own perfect timing. This is what I call the principle of natural progress. Let me share something fascinating about bamboo growth. For 4 years after planting, bamboo shows virtually no visible growth. But during this time, it's building an elaborate root system underground. Then in the 5th year, it can grow up to 90 feet in just 6 weeks. This is the perfect metaphor for sustainable success. You see, true progress isn't always visible on the surface. While hustle culture focuses on constant visible motion, real achievement often happens in the quiet moments, in the spaces between activity, in what I call the growth gaps. Here's what I've discovered about sustainable success. It operates on 3 fundamental principles, what I call the trilogy of transformation. First is the principle of strategic patience. This isn't about waiting passively. It's about understanding that different goals require different timelines. Just as you can't harvest corn in a week, no matter how much you water it, some achievements require their own natural gestation period. Second is the principle of value creation. In nature, nothing takes without giving. Every organism contributes to its ecosystem. Your success should operate the same way. Instead of asking, what can I get? Start asking, what can I create? What can I contribute? Third is the principle of rhythmic progress. Notice how nature moves in rhythms, day and night, seasons, tides. Your success should follow similar patterns. There are times for intense activity and times for deep rest, times for expansion and times for consolidation. Consider this revolutionary idea. What if success isn't about pushing harder, but about aligning better? What if the key isn't in forcing growth, but in removing the obstacles to natural growth? The new path forward isn't about abandoning ambition. It's about advancing with awareness. It's about understanding that sustainable success is not a sprint, not even a marathon, but a dance between action and reflection, between striving and allowing, between doing and being. This is your invitation to a new way of achieving, a way that doesn't demand the sacrifice of your health, your relationships, or your joy. A way that recognizes that your greatest achievements will come not from exhausting yourself, but from expressing your natural gifts in harmony with your natural rhythms. Remember, the oak tree doesn't strive to become great. It simply grows consistently, naturally, in accordance with its nature. And in doing so, it achieves a magnificence that no amount of forcing could produce. This is the new path forward. This is your path to sustainable success. This is your invitation to achieve not just more, but to achieve differently.